Guys, dudes, men, we can be so hard to shop for. I mean, I'm like downright impossible to shop for. But Harry's limited edition shave set makes the perfect gift. It's thoughtful, useful, and practical. It's actually really special as well. They sent me one the other day, and even the unboxing experience delivers. It's full of bespoke products, and basically it's just a great close shave that delivers on the promise. I mean, come on, what else do you want? If you haven't heard of them before, Harry's was started by two best friends, Jeff and Andy, two guys who were just fed up with being overcharged for razors, so they started their own razor company to give people what they deserve, a great shave at a fair price. And this holiday, Harry's is offering a limited edition shaving set that includes a midnight blue chrome razor handle, which has a really nice feel, a nice weight to it. You can even get it engraved with initials. 3 of Harry's German-engineered 5-blade cartridges that provide a close, comfortable shave. Foaming gel that smells amazing. A beautifully designed gift box. And the whole darn thing goes for just $30 on harrys.com. And as a special offer for fans of the show, we've partnered with Harry's to give you $5 off your order when you enter code ROLL at checkout. Free shipping ends on December 9th, so you got to act now. Go to harrys.com to get a limited edition holiday shave set while supplies last. And don't forget to enter promo code ROLL, R-O-L-L, at checkout for $5 off. That's harrys.com, promo code ROLL.
And that's why I tell people, like, you got to put yourself in that right mind state. Like, and that's why I'm all about positivity. Like, look, you control your destiny. That was like one of my first tattoos I ever got was, I control my own destiny. You do. Like, you really do. And there may be some situations where there's some outlying factors, but when you're in that situation with the outlying factors, you put yourself in the situation to even allow those outlying factors to affect you.
That's John Lewis, and this is the Rich Roll Podcast. The Rich Roll Podcast. Hey everybody, how you guys doing? What's going on? My name is Rich Roll. I am your host. Welcome back to the podcast where I go deep and long form and get intimate with some of the most intriguing, inspiring, positive, paradigm-breaking thought leaders and wellness evangelists all across the globe. People who have really devoted their lives to making the world a better place, all in the interest of people like myself and yourself, you guys, the audience, to help us all unlock and unleash our best, most authentic selves. Got a great show for you guys today. My friend John Lewis is coming on, a.k.a. the Badassvegan. That's what he goes by. That's his moniker. And let's see, what can I say about John? Well, I met John several years ago, and I keep seeing him at all these events where I'm speaking, and I got to spend some quality time with him in Miami a couple weeks ago, and we'd always talked about having him on the podcast, so it just took a little while. I'm glad the stars aligned to allow him to be in Los Angeles for us to do this. But when I was in Miami, I got to hear him speak, and he was just great. He's just a really good dude who is promoting a super positive message around healthy lifestyle and sustainable and ethical eating and living. And I think the word badass is an appropriate moniker when it comes to John, because this guy is an absolute beast. He's a 6'6" powerhouse who created this brand, Badassvegan, really to bust the stereotypes of what vegans look like and to really upend traditional stereotypical ideas about what it means and again, what it looks like to live and exude and sort of step into this plant-based way of eating and living. But it wasn't always this way for John. He started out as a 315-pound kid. He grew up in Ferguson, Missouri. We have an interesting conversation about that. And he was a kid who could have gone left, but he found solace and refuge in sports. He played basketball and football in high school and college, and that really helped him ditch his fat kid image and really triggered his love for healthy lifestyle. But it wasn't until after college when he began to suffer some pretty serious health issues, combined with his mother being diagnosed with colon cancer, that John began to experiment with eating vegetarian and ultimately becoming vegan. And with his health repaired, this sort of catalyzed, it was like this formative moment for him that the light bulb went on and he really stepped into this role of becoming a vegan evangelist. And today he's a personal trainer. He's an entrepreneur. Like I said, he's got this brand called Badassvegan, which is an apparel and lifestyle brand. It's really a health and nutrition company that is oriented around promoting and educating individuals on plant-based nutrition and just living more consciously. Again, he's completely ripped. He's built like a tank. But I think most impactful when you meet this guy is that he greets you with just the biggest smile you've ever seen. He's just one of the most warm and positive people you're ever going to meet. And I think he has a really unique talent and ability to communicate and positively impact a very wide diversity of people. John's appeared in multiple television shows, and he's been profiled in all kinds of magazines like Muscle Fitness, Men's Fitness, Fitness RX, Vegan Health and Fitness, Thrive, Origin, as well as Maxim and Sports Illustrated. And you might have seen him featured in all those P90X television ads that were ubiquitous a couple of years ago. I got a couple things I want to say about John before we get into the conversation. But first, think about it, you guys. Underwear is the first thing you put on in the morning and the last thing you take off. So why would you settle for anything less than the absolute best feeling underwear on the entire planet? Well, MeUndies is here to the rescue. MeUndies focuses solely on producing the most comfortable underwear you've ever experienced. Why is it so comfortable? How can they do this? Well, it has something to do with this stuff called Modal, which is scientifically proven to be 3 times softer than cotton. These guys sent me a few pairs of their underwear a couple of years ago. Actually, no, it's about a year ago. And I'm telling you, I know this sounds insane, but it's the absolute truth. This is just the best underwear I've ever worn. The bottom line is there's just no reason to wear anything else, because for the price of a Starbucks run, MeUndies will deliver your new favorite pair of underwear right to your doorstep. You don't even have to leave the house. You can try them on, and if they're not the most comfortable, best feeling underwear you've ever had, they'll refund you and let you keep your first pair for free. So basically, not only is there no risk, you get a free pair of underwear. So what else do you want? It's amazing. These uber cozy undies are sold exclusively on the MeUndies website, where you'll enjoy free shipping in the US and Canada. And right now, for a limited time, everyone in my audience gets 20% off their first order, but you have to go to our special URL. It's MeUndies.com/roll. With the MeUndies Better Day Guarantee, you have nothing to lose. So don't wait any longer. Go to MeUndies.com/roll right now for 20% off your first order. That's MeUndies.com/roll. All right. So John Lewis, this is, of course, a conversation about John's really interesting life, but it's also a conversation about taking personal responsibility for ourselves, for our well-being, and for our life path. It's a conversation about mindset, the power of positivity, and what it means to seize the reins of control when it comes to your personal destiny. It's about community. It's about ethics. It's about change. It's about how we all have so much more control and say over who we are, who we want to be, what we want to express, and what we stand for. And ultimately, it's about the power we all hold to contribute and make a difference. Are we ready to rock it?
Let's rock.
We got the Badass Vegan in the house. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for...
I think we started playing this in like 2011.
I know. It took a while. That happens a lot, actually. I'll have conversations, and it just, it happens when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we know each other a little bit better than we did back then. So maybe it's a better time. You know?
Exactly.
Sorry about the LA traffic that you got introduced to today. It took you a little bit longer to get here. I got you a little green smoothie.
You did. So it evens it out.
So this one is, usually I start with kale and beets, but we ran out. So this is spinach, apple, banana, hemp seed, spirulina. And then I tried this mushroom protein powder from Amanda at Moon Juice.
Yeah.
So she sent us some of this stuff. This is my first time trying it. So it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So we're going to be flying high for this, man. Anyway, stoked to talk to you. So many things we can cover. But why don't we just start at the beginning, man?
Oh,
man. The superhero origin story of the badass vegan, and I think it's I think it's timely because of your background and kind of the crazy week that we've just all experienced together, to help put it a little bit,
pretty
in context.
Nuts, actually. There's a lot going on. But just to start off, like we talked about, I originally from Little Rock, Arkansas, born there, raised to Ferguson, Missouri. We moved there when I was 2. So, had a nice childhood. I didn't know any better. I didn't know it was a different time zone or a different area to live in at that time until I moved away.
How old were you when you moved to Ferguson?
We were 2.
Oh, 2.
Okay.
I
was 2.
So you don't remember Arkansas?
I don't, but I have a lot of family there. In fact, it's so funny being a vegan. I actually have our family owns one of the number 1 barbecue restaurants.
Oh, really?
In Little Rock. So that's very interesting. They think
so
I'm
you go
all
back
crazy.
there once in a while?
I haven't been back in so long. I keep in touch with the family that's there, like my cousins and things of that nature. But social media helps a lot, with that, as well as texting. But I haven't physically been back to Little Rock since maybe 2001 or 2. Yeah. It's been a while. It's been a long time.
So
I know my family's listening to this. It's going to be like, yeah, it's time to come back.
Yeah. But so Ferguson's where you grew up. That's where you went to high school and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, what was that like when, everything went down in Ferguson? Do you know people?
Oh, yeah.
Connected to people that were directly impacted by that and involved?
Yeah, my mom still lives in Florida. I
thought you put that on airplane mode, dude.
I actually did. Look,
you did.
It's on
I don't know
mode.
what that is. All right, cool.
I don't know how that works.
No worries, man. That's just life.
Yeah, that's just life. So, that was my wife's ringtone, by the way. So maybe she got a special way of getting through airplane mode.
She knows how to. She's keeping tabs on you.
No, it's so funny. Yeah, my mom still lives right in Ferguson. I actually just went back 3 weeks ago, and still right in the heart of Ferguson. Saw a lot of people that I haven't seen in a long time, and it's getting better, but it's still it's in the air. You know what I'm saying? Especially there's something that always rekindles it. It's once everything kind of calms down, something else happens. It may not be in Ferguson, but it happens somewhere else, and it rekindles it. So yeah, while it's getting better, it's not gone.
What was going on with you when that all went down? I mean, that must have been terrifying.
Yeah, I was in Miami at the time, and I remember actually talking to my mom, and she said she was at the gym and they locked down the gym or something like that. I guess because of the rallies that were happening at the time after it happened. And just to hear my mom, she's 80 now, she was in her 70s at the time, to hear her she's in lockdown at a gym, not at home, safe. It was just weird, to see that, and then to see the pictures of gas stations totally destroyed, and it was just so crazy. I mean, these armed guards and AK-47s and things walking down the street, a street that I walked to school in, just weird. It was just very interesting to see.
Did you have high school friends that were in the midst of that?
Yeah.
Anybody get hurt? Is everyone all right?
Yeah, everybody's okay. My cousin was actually sending me pictures via text, man, look at this, cousin. It's crazy. Just seeing these different images. It was wow. I can't believe this just happened where we were at. I mean, there was always violence around. I tell people, my sophomore year in high school, I lost 7 friends. So
gang violence stuff, or what? To what?
It was a mixture. It may have been gang violence. It might have just been stupidity on some things. We thought we were in gangs there. We weren't really in the gang. That was just
poser gangs.
It was just the end thing to do. We weren't really in the gang. We just thought, hey, this blood and Crip thing going out in L.A. Why don't we just bring it here? But there is no real affiliation.
Right, but stupid shit that happens when you're partying and you're young.
Yeah. There was a couple of car accidents too. But it's just you grow numb to it, and I hate to say it now. When I hear about death, I don't really, even when it's an immediate family member, I'm not to the point where I can't function anymore. I grieve over it, and then I'm just, ready to move forward.
So what's behind that? I mean, what's that about for you?
I think it became a numb thing. Okay, well, all right, the first time it hurt. The second time in a couple of months, you're wow, that happened again. The third time it happens, and a couple of months later, you're this keeps happening. And about the fourth or fifth time, it's like running a mile. The first time you run that mile, it hurts. after you keep running them out so many times, your body's like, okay, well, we're used to this. Like,
right, it's a new normal.
Yeah, it's a new normal.
So literally like 7 like dudes that you knew.
Yeah, and girls. Like, girls. There was like one was a car accident, had a very close friend, and which was a female and guy, who literally got hit by an 18-wheeler, out partying. And it was like 2-3 in the morning. That side of the car got crushed. They died. My cousin was in the back seat. To this day, he has like limited functionality in his right side of his body because he got smashed up against the wall. His eyes, he can't even see out of that one eye. So like just different things just kept happening over and over and over. Mm-hmm. Parties, people get shot. It was just crazy all the time. And
you said your mom's 80.
She's 80. She still acts like she's 20, though.
This requires a little clarification because you're too young to have a mom that's 80. I mean, I know the answer to this, but explain that.
Well, so my mom, my original mom, was basically hooked on drugs. So she had me at a very young age, and she had me when she was 16. Got pregnant when she was 15. So my mom, I always say my mom is actually my grandmother. She stepped in right off the bat because my original mom was actually going to sell me for more drug money. So my grandmother stepped in and was like, no, that's not going to happen. Adopted me legally. Adopted me in a way. We lived in Little Rock, Arkansas, so it wasn't much paperwork to be filed. Like, actually, my grandmother, her name is actually on the second birth certificate directly from the hospital. Like, they did it in the hospital right there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know how legal it was at this point.
But you went home to your grandma straight from the hospital.
Straight from the hospital.
And your mom went where?
Just straight to the same house.
Back to the street. Is she alive now? Do you have a relationship with her?
No relationship. But the funny thing is not my relationship with her that I do not have now was not because of what happened at birth. She was raised as my sister actually, and then finally it came out.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, exactly.
that's a mind trip.
It's a mind trip.
How old were you when you realized the person you thought was your sister was your mom?
I was supposed to find out at 16. I found out at 4. So imagine being 4 and
probably
learning how to act.
Yeah, but if you had found that out when you were 16,
it probably would have devastated me.
Been good.
But the good thing was, it taught me how to. Because at 4 years old, I knew that would hurt my grandmother if I would have went to her with that information. So I just kept it in. I knew about it.
You knew it, but you didn't say anything.
I never said anything to her, no. Because I knew that would hurt her too.
So your mom grew up in the same house as you?
Same house. Same house.
And did she ever get sober, or she still struggles with that?
Now, from what I hear, she's doing better. But I cut off communication. I would say it's almost 10 years. I haven't talked to her. Like, I'll hear stories from my brothers and stuff. In fact, she just needed to borrow money just the other day from my brothers. Like, they're like, oh, I had to go take her $50. I'm like, sometimes you got to learn when to let go and not put yourself in a hole. Yeah. Like, I'm all about helping people, but if after so many times, so many years, if they're not helping themselves at a certain time.
Yeah, it just becomes a codependent situation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not helping anybody. Wow, that's rough though. So never knew your dad then, I assume.
No, I actually met him at 21.
Oh, wow.
We're like twins, except he's bald and short. But I met him at 21. In fact, I will say that's the one good thing she did. She found him and surprised me on my 21st birthday at a birthday party. And he came out of the back room. And like instantly, as soon as I saw him, I knew who he was.
Right.
Because I literally saw my face in him. Like, I knew who he was.
That's crazy. But was he super young too, I assume?
He was actually younger than her. He was 15 when I was born. So, and then his family ended up moving to Milwaukee. So I had no contact. So my family moved to St. Louis from Little Rock. His family moved to Milwaukee from St. Louis. I had no contact whatsoever.
Right, but you're in contact with him now.
Yeah, now I am. Yeah.
What's he do? What's he gonna do?
He's actually works in extermination, like termites, all that kind of stuff. He's like a facility manager in Milwaukee for that. I have a little sister by him as well. That's up there in Milwaukee, and then I have his mom and sister and brother. So my aunts and uncles, I'm real close with the aunt actually because she's only a year older than me.
Yeah.
So we're real close.
That's great because your grandma's 80, right? And if she's your only, family connection, it's nice that you have that.
And that's
now.
the other side. So now I get to see the other side of the family too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right, man. So you're cruising around Ferguson. Your friends are dying.
Yeah.
You're living with your grandma and this woman who your grandma tells you is your sister, but she's your mom. Like, and what are you doing?
I got like so many things going on at one time.
Like, what kind of kid were you? How come you didn't get caught in the crossfire of all that craziness?
I honestly say it is basketball saved my life, man. Because my mom saved my life, of course, but basketball saved my life to the sense of I felt so.
And mom, you mean grandma?
Grandma.
Just so
sorry, yeah. Just so everybody
going
knows.
Forward, yeah.
I've never called her.
Define our terms.
I've never called her grandma, just ever. I've never looked at her and say, "Hey, grandma," like not once ever. She's always been mom, but she was strict. She was one of those parents that if you mess up, there's no like in between. You're either good or you're bad. There's no accidents here. Like you put yourself in a situation to do something bad. I think that's always helped me to understand life today. But I was so in love with basketball that if I messed up, there was no basketball. So in order for me not to go play, not to be stuck in the house, I had to do everything right.
When did you start playing basketball?
I started playing real young, actually. I would say around 4 or 5. I really started playing. My older brother, who is so funny, is actually my uncle. Because it's a weird dynamic. So everybody that was under my grandmother, legally, they shifted. So whoever was literally my
uncle became your brother.
My uncles, I had 2 uncles that became my 2 brothers. And we're close, and we're so close today. We talk every day. Like we talk through text, or we make sure that we talk every day. And then the mother, we'll call her egg donor. That helps out. Egg donor became sister.
Right.
So that's how
I
worked.
got that part.
Yeah. So growing up, I had an older sister and 2 older brothers.
Okay.
And I was the youngest.
Right. So you start playing basketball pretty young.
Young, yeah.
But I mean, right now, just for people that are listening, and we're going to get into all this, but how tall are you? Like 6'6"? Yeah, 6'6", fully strapped.
Yeah.
Giant guns. You're just rocking the physique, like unbelievable, example of healthy, fit living. But you were like a fat kid, right?
I was a fat kid. My mom,
were you big? Were you always like the biggest kid?
I was always the tallest kid. I was always the tallest kid, but then somewhere along the line, all the processed breakfast food and all, like my mom used to keep like 18 boxes of cereal on top of the refrigerator. That's just how we grew up. Everything was in abundance, but it was abundance of processed stuff, fried foods, things of that nature. So the more and more I ate it, by my freshman year in high school, I was 315.
So even though you were playing basketball all along, you're still blowing up.
Yeah, but you got to think about it. Little league basketball is not that strenuous. You show up, you do a couple layup drills, you shoot the ball. And then when I got to high school, that's when the weight came off because...
Well, hold on a second. We're not quite there yet. So freshman year in high school, 315?
315.
And how tall?
I was about 5'8", which is still kind of tall for a freshman.
That's big.
But I was fast. I was a fast.
You could still move.
Yeah, I was agile. But yeah, I was able to move real good, and I think that's what helped me out. But I always worked hard on the craft. I was always doing dribble drills, and the brother that played basketball before me, he took me under his wing, so that helped me out. And I wanted to be like him, so I was just one of those people.
Kept you out of trouble too.
Yeah, he kept me out of trouble. So, he had me doing push-ups at 5 years old. Like, all right, you want to go play? We got to do push-ups first. And I hated it back then, and now it's so funny. Like, I love to work out.
Right.
But I hated it back then.
Right. So it's weird because even though you're obviously super overweight as a young kid, you're still able to do all these sports and you're super into sports. And as your involvement in sports progresses, you're still like, what tipped things over into you actually getting like fit and like losing the weight?
I would say like around the end of that freshman year, it just accumulation of like football, basketball, and trying to run track. I tried to run track because I was too fat, but
but you're still eating all the junk, but
I'm still eating all the junk, but
work your way out of it.
But the thing was, my activity level had just basically quadrupled.
Right.
Because, you're doing 2-a-days in football. You're doing, you might do a morning practice and a night practice of basketball. And then, just trying to get on the track, just running and doing sprints. And I had this enormous growth spurt as well. So I went from about 5'8" to about 6'1" in one summer.
Like when you were what, like 16 or something?
Like that I would say about 14, 15. That summer in between freshman and sophomore year.
Right.
And it just disappeared. So I went from like overweight to like not extremely skinny, but it was a big difference. You could see that I had lost a lot of weight.
And did you guys have a good team?
We were pretty good, actually. We were always a competitor when it comes to basketball. Actually, a lot of sports.
So were you playing center?
I don't know. I was actually they put me in point guard, but I would always
point guard.
Yeah,
but you're the tallest kid.
But I was actually pretty good. I will say that I was actually pretty good. But they would put me around. I would move around from center to point guard to whatever, and it just depends on what slot I need to fit in.
Right,
and that's where I would go.
Right.
Yeah. So
all right. So where does this take you? You think you're gonna play college ball?
I thought it was NBA. I thought it was NBA bound. Like right. That was the best thing ever to step on the court. But it just didn't pan out that way. But I did go play college ball. Mm-hmm. Ended up going to Harris-Stowe State College in St. Louis, which is a historically black school. Mm-hmm. But I did have a temper. I was a good kid, but I had a temper because I had scouts looking at me. And my senior year, actually, our senior night game, most people know senior night, all seniors start. It's like a golden rule. Like, unless you got 7 seniors, then one might have to, or 2 might have to sit out. So senior night, we only have 4 seniors on the whole team. And I had been starting the whole year. And the coach and I had got into it about something stupid the day before, a couple of days before. And I guess his payback was not starting me senior night. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting on the bench, and it literally was like a cartoon. I had like the devil on one shoulder and the angel on one shoulder, like, all right, let him have it. I'm like, no. The angel's like, don't do it. So he finally puts me in the game in the second half of the game, not the first half. The whole first half, I'm sitting on the bench. And that's coming from somebody that started the whole year. So then finally puts me in. There's a play that happened. I passed the ball to a friend of mine, a teammate, Wesley Miller, and he ducks. Like, to this day, we don't know why he ducked. And the coach got pissed. He pulls me out of the game. So as I'm walking to the bench, that angel and that demon is still sitting there, and all of a sudden, I just snapped in the middle of the game. I yell out, "What the F is wrong with you?" And like the whole band stops playing. The crowd like goes in awe. And like at that point, I'm just like, well, I already opened up that can. So I just start cursing him out even worse. So I'm an 18-year-old kid, and I'm just letting him have it. And like, I was just so upset. And I didn't know that one of my major scouts was literally in the crowd at the time. Right.
Scout from where?
That was Arkansas State, actually, where my brother actually went to school. So yeah,
the timing's not good, but it's ironic because you're like the happiest dude I know.
No, that situation
every time I see you, huge smile on your face, big hugs for everybody all around, nothing but positivity, 24/7.
Yeah, I always credit that situation actually.
So that helped you grow out of that?
That helped me grow.
So you've been able to kind of put that to sleep, that side of you?
Yeah. I actually credit it because so many things happened after that. So after that happened, I ended up going to the locker room because I was just so mad. And when I tried to come out the locker room, the police were actually waiting on me. So an 18-year-old kid. Now, remember, we're in Ferguson, so it's already kind of weird.
Yeah.
And when I tried to come out, the police were like, no, you can't go out there. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, you threatened his life. I was like, no, I didn't say I was going to kill him. I said I was going to F him up. There's a big difference. Like, like whatever. Like, so when I got back to school, because basketball games usually on a Friday night in high school, that Monday I got back to school, and about second class, I got called to the office, and I'm talking to the principal, and the principal's like, yeah, John, because I was a good kid for the most part. Mm-hmm. And the principal, like, she almost was like in tears telling me I'm like, why is she so emotional right now? And so because of it being on school premises, I got kicked off the basketball team for the rest of the season, which it was my senior year. So that's done. And we're about to go into playoffs because it's senior night. So it's the end of the year. and I got suspended for 10 days from school.
Oh man.
It was crazy. And that's when I kind of saw like, no matter what somebody does to you, you control yourself.
Right. What was the racial profile of the high school? Of the students?
It was, put it this way, we were a totally black team and we had a white coach.
Right.
So it was like just this.
And was it like predominantly African American students or?
Yeah. I would say we were about 70%, 70 to 30. Yeah.
Right.
So
and
it was.
Were the cops white?
Yeah, actually they were. Actually they were. So
that sucks, man. Yeah, that cascading effect. You know, like the domino effect of like, you know, you lost your shit for 5 minutes and all these things that happen. So, But to be able to have the self-awareness as a young person to say, I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
Rather than, I mean, you could have easily played the victim and just turned the volume up on that.
And I'm not saying that I didn't for a little while, but it did click like, okay. Because I got that second chance to go to Harrisville State College. Like that was a big thing. When no coach gave me a chance, that coach still was like, look, you know, and he was a hard ass. So he kept me in line. He kept me in check too.
Were you a kid who was thinking like, I want to get out of Ferguson and go make my way in the world? Or, you know, what was when you graduated high school, were you thinking like, what was your idea about what you wanted to do with your life?
First of all, I cried.
MBA,
First of all, I cried after I graduated because like you said, I'm always one of those guys. I'm always hugging everybody, learning everybody, meeting everybody. I knew the whole staff, the whole school. Like that was family to me. So, and I probably was like the one kid at 18 that was like, oh, it's about to get real after I leave here. Like, I knew that family bond that I had with everybody there was going to be gone. But I did have huge dreams of like doing something on a global scale. Like I always thought global as a kid. I was like writing business plans at like 7. Like, oh man, if I do this and do that, I can do this and make this business and clothing companies, things of that nature. I was always doing it. I just never shared it at the time. But yeah, I always thought bigger than Ferguson. I always thought, you know, I would make it out of there. And, I mean, luckily I feel like I have, but I always want to go back and help too. So it's not like that, but yeah, I definitely in high school, I was a big ball of tears because I was like, it's about to get real.
Yeah. All right. So you go to college and, you play ball. Like, how does this pan out for you?
Freshman year, thought I was the best thing on the team, of course, still. You know, I wasn't cocky. I was overly confident in my skills, which I always tell people, be confident in the first place. You just don't have to be cocky about it. And, I ended up getting redshirted my freshman year. And I was like, wow, like, I thought I was coming in starting, you know, going to be like this huge factor in the team. So I ended up, redshirting for that year. And, that was a growing experience, really, you know, traveling with the team still, being at every game, sitting in street clothes. I'm not even like in uniform, I'm in street clothes, filming for the team, you know, things of that nature. Because we were a smaller school. We didn't have the big budget. Like our meal plan, like we would go away to a game, we'd get like $6 to eat. You know, like it was crazy. You know, like you're like, man, like really, like this is not how it's portrayed on TV, where you're gonna get this like, you got a new car when you get to school, everything. So it was a smaller school, but it helped me grow definitely. And to be honest, I had never touched a weight room really till I got to college. And there's a guy here, he'll probably never hear this, but Archie McClendon, I'll never forget him. He was 6'2", had like a 40-inch vertical, and was built like, he had me beat by like 30, 40 pounds, just solid rock. And it was hell for me every day in practice with him. And then one day he was like, hey, you want to lift? So he welcomed me in. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, if I can lift with him and get better with him, I knew I'd be good. He put it this way. He was 6'2", and he was 7th in the nation in rebounding and 6th in the nation in field goal percentage.
Wow.
At 6'2".
Wow. Of all the NC2A?
Well, we were in NIAA.
Oh, okay.
But we were D1 NAIA. So we were a smaller school. But out of all of that, which there's still the same amount of schools in NAIA as NCAA. Right. He literally was like 6th and 7th in the nation.
All right. So he pops your cherry in the weight room.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he did.
And was that from that point on? Was it game on? Like,
it was
you
addictive.
Just found this was your thing?
Yeah, I was addicted because I just saw my strength. Like I became more intimidating on the court because I was already tall, but now I'm starting to get size, and my quickness was even getting better. So like I'm 6'6", you know. When I went to the rim, I used to always say, like, I didn't care who was under the rim, I was gonna dunk the ball. Like it just, it was just that intimidating factor. I was like, my mom could be under the rim, and if my mom's under the rim, I'm sorry, I'm gonna dunk the ball. Like, and I credit to him because he got me in that weight room, definitely.
Right. So, do you play all 4 years?
I actually only got to play 3. There was a situation where the year I came back, I tore my meniscus in my left knee. So I played like the first 6 games of that year. And we were such a small school. There was a situation where after I had the torn meniscus, coach needed me to play the game. And if I would have played this one more game, I would have lost that year and I couldn't come back and use it. But we literally only had 4 people because of eligibility, people ineligible because of grades and stuff like this. So imagine a college team only had 4 people.
4 players.
4 players. And he's basically putting this pressure on me like, hey, if you don't play, we only got 4 players. And I got a torn knee. And I was sick. I had like this crazy cold. And we ended up playing like Central Missouri State. I'll never forget. And it's probably one of my best games, though. Like, that's the funny thing. And as soon as the game was over with, I went to the bathroom and threw up. Like, like I had just lost my life. Like, it was crazy. But that was a situation where I lost a year there. So, when it was time for me to repeal for that, the athletic director at the time was like, no, you're not going to get that year back. And I was like, man, like, you know, everybody said I had a good case, you know, because, you know, I helped the school out, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out 10 years later after I left, that athletic director was like indicted for like money embezzling or something. I was like, so that's why you didn't want to appeal the case, because you didn't want to put any attention on you. Wow. So I'm like, man, I probably could have got that year back if anything. So,
but when does it dawn on you that maybe the NBA is not happening and you start to pull focus on the NBA?
You know,
the NBA.
I never lost
you take that N and make it into an M.
Yeah. I never really lost it. I guess at a certain point, I had tried out for a semi-pro team in St. Louis, St. Louis Skyhawks. Pretty much made the team, actually. And you just get to see that, like, this semi-pro life is not not that glamorous. You know, you're paying for your own hotels.
How many players actually end up making the leap from those semi-pro? I mean, it happens in baseball, but not in basketball.
Yeah,
right?
basketball, and that's the thing. You got that soft hope in the back of your head. You're like, man, we might be able to pull this off. We might make it to the league still. And for me, I guess it just clicked. I was like, you know what, this is not it. You know, so I ended up going back to grad school to get my MBA, and I think that was like a great move for me, because even though I was, you know, doing so much in St. Louis, I was still in the confines of my comfort zone. Right. And when I went to grad school, I finally went to Miami. It was between 3 places. I was like, look, I'm tired of snow. Snow is like my arch enemy. Like cold weather, I do not like cold weather. So I looked at LA, I looked at Texas, and I looked at Fort Lauderdale, actually. And I knew a couple people in LA at the time, and this is back in 2003. I know a couple people in LA. I didn't know anybody in Texas, but I did know one person in Florida. And he was like, you know what, if you move here, man, I'll help you out, whatever you need, you know. And I just felt like I could trust him. So I was like, all right, I'm doing it. Now, at that time, I hadn't even looked for school or anything. I was just like, all right, that's the spot.
You picked the geographic location before the school?
Yeah, I picked that out. So, because I wasn't going to go to school at first, I was just going to move. The whole idea was like to transfer jobs. I was actually working for Singular Wireless at the time. I was a manager at Singular Wireless. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to transfer jobs. And then when I tried to transfer, there was nothing. And I had made a promise to myself. I was like, look, if I can't do anything good after 2 years, I'll go back to grad school. So I finally graduated in 2001 from Harris State College with a degree in marketing. So I was like, all right, you know, like let's go look at grad schools. And I found a school, which is Nova Southeastern University. And the business school is actually named the H. Wayne Huizenga School of Business, which H. Wayne Huizenga was the guy that started Blockbuster, used to own the Dolphins, Waste Management, all these great companies. And I was like, wow. And he literally helped write the curriculum for that. So I was like, I mean, I guess he knows a little bit about business if I'm trying. And I guess the key thing was it was about entrepreneurship at the school too. So I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time, but I knew I wanted to, start my own business eventually. But there was like one little hiccup was you need like a 2.5 to get into grad school. And I was a party boy in college. What
was your GPA?
Oh man, I was like a 2.51. So
you made the cut.
I made the cut, but I was so nervous. I didn't even know what my GPA was when I graduated. So when I had to go back and get my transcripts, I was scared to even open the letter. I'm like, what was my GPA? I just know that I actually left. So I don't know if you ever seen the movie Van Wilder.
I think I did.
Yeah, it was like the guy.
So long
it was like
ago.
the guy that was in college for like 10 years. He had his own like personal assistant. That was me, except for the personal assistant and the golf cart. He had his own parking space. But just like high school, I got to know everybody at the school.
That's the kind of guy, like that's what I'm interested in. Like you're that kind of guy. Like you have this sort of innate ability to create community wherever you go and understand like, hey man, the party's with me. You know what I mean? Like come with me, like, and to bring people into that like equation. Cause you have like, you're very charismatic. You have a really magnetic personality and people just want to like be around you. You know what I mean?
Well,
so when you graduated high school and you were like worried, like, oh, this is my family and I'm listening to that and thinking, yeah, but you're just going to do the same thing wherever you go.
Yeah. But as a kid, I was like, how am I going to do this again? And then I did it. And then when I got out of grad school, I was like, it was the same thing when I got out of a college, actually. The same thing. I was like, man, I don't want to leave. Like, it was to the point, and everybody that's listening probably understands, like, when you have to register for classes, you have to sit in, you have to set an appointment. I didn't even do that. I was the guy that would just walk in, hey, Sally, here's goes my registration, talk to you later, and walk past everybody and just walk out. Class would be registered. Didn't have to worry about it. Because I just grew a rapport with everybody. Like, I was the guy that would bring in breakfast for the people that worked in the office. Not even when it was registration. That was just me. I would stop in and say hi, what's going on. But I did that with the whole school. I just grew to know the whole school. In fact, the president of my university actually was my fraternity brother.
Oh, wow.
That's how close it was.
Yeah, but that's leadership.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's entrepreneurial in its own right, right? Yeah. So you go in, you're like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to learn business. You do the deal. You get your MBA.
Had no clue what I was going to do it.
There's no snow. So like, when you graduate, do you start a business right away, or like, what's your next thing?
I was actually, when I went down there on a mission. Like I knew I played around and screwed around in college. And so, so many people were like, you're going to Florida to go to grad school? Because they knew I was a party guy. So they were like, wait a minute, you're going to go to Florida out of all places.
Right. It's like spring break.
Yeah. And that
12 months
that was my motivation. I was like, all right, I'm going to shut all these people up. Like, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to really go into it. And I actually ended up making the national chancellor's list for grad school, which was like, high GPA, everything. Mm-hmm. And the university actually hired me before I even graduated to be the manager of admissions for the business school. So now I'm actually in charge of the program that I'm actually attending. Mm-hmm. And that was like a big thing for me. So I actually worked for the school for about 3 to 4 years. Even before I did that, I actually interned at the Dolphins. For marketing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was, like I said, leaving St. Louis, leaving Ferguson was a huge step for me because I really got to spread my wings there. I grew this community of my own, my tribe in St. Louis, but I just felt like confined, I felt like there was more that I could do.
Right.
And then, the internship with the Dolphins, working for the school, and then.
And so this is what, like 2006 or something?
Yeah, about
like
2006. And, my ex-wife at the time somehow convinced me that we should move to Atlanta, even though I was doing so good and building this thing in Miami. So we ended up going to Atlanta and I hated it. I just completely hated it.
Why is that?
I think because Atlanta reminded me a lot of St. Louis. There was still that racial tension there. But now it was kind of reversed.
That's interesting because Atlanta has such a massive African American population. It's like majority African.
Exactly. But the thing was, it was like
but it's the South.
Opposite.
It's still the South.
No, but it felt the opposite. See, in St. Louis, it felt like the white people felt like they owned everything, so they were the more racist people. But it was like when I got to Atlanta, it was like the reverse now. Like when a white person would show up in Atlanta, they're like, what is this person doing in the city? Like, you know, it was the total opposite. Like Miami being a melting pot, LA being a melting pot, New York being a melting pot. I remember being in St. Louis, and I went to actually have lunch with a coworker, and she just happened to be a white girl with blonde hair. We were just at lunch, and by the time I got done with lunch, I had text messages talking about, I heard you were on a date with this white girl. I was like, wait, what is going on? Like, I was like, even if I was, why? Does it matter? But why is it so important? You know, so there was always racial tension. Like, you know, there's not many mixed relationships in St. Louis or things of that nature. And Atlanta just kind of fall, you know, under the same boat. I saw that it just was so, you know, singular. Like I'm all about everybody loving everybody, you know, blending with each other, being happy. And it just felt like that wasn't happening in Atlanta.
So you're like, I'm going back to Florida.
I'm going back. And I told her, I was like, look, we bought a house and everything. I was like, look, okay. All right. And plus I had got laid off from the job I was working up there anyway, because the recession had just hit then, around 2006, 2007. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back down. I'm going to make the money, then you can move back down. So I actually packed in my car, drove back down to Atlanta, found a job I had an interview, drove back down for the interview, got the job, started working immediately. Had a great friend who helped me out. His name was Jimmy Topple, who was he's an Indian guy, like one of my best friends. And he was like, look, man, you can have my couch, just stay here. And I was like, nah, man, I'll give you some money. He was like, nope, you're not. And like literally for like 6 months, he let me stay on his couch. Like literally, I stayed on this man's couch for 6 months. And he let me work, and I would just send the money back to pay the mortgage back.
So your
in
wife's
Atlanta.
still living in Atlanta.
Still living in Atlanta.
This relationship's not going in a good direction.
It's not going in a good direction.
It's starting to gather.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, so she finally got everything. I moved back down here. I ended up working for a for-profit university. So I got back into that educational sector, which I wanted to, but it was a for-profit university. So it was like totally different vibe. Working at Nova, it was a non-for-profit. So it was more about the students. And when you go to a for-profit university, it's about the money.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy.
About fundraising.
Yeah, about fundraising. Like, how many numbers did you get this month? How many students did you get in? Not about what quality students you got in. And that was like the decline of that relationship, because I had got laid off from that job. They got caught under some investigation, and they were doing some things unethically, and I wouldn't do them. So like eventually they were like weeding out all the people that wouldn't do it, and I got fired. And that was 2011. It was like 2011. And she was like, what are you going to do? I was like, well, you know, I've been working on this company, because I started BadAssVegan in 2010. And I was like, well, I've been working on this company. I think I'm just going to go all in. I was like, I'm just going to go all in. And if it doesn't work in 5 or 6 months, then I'll do it. Because I've been saving money while I was working. So I was like, look, I got enough for like 6 months to live off of. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. Like, that's so unattractive. And like, she wanted me to, like, in her eyes, she was used to the 9 to 5. If you're not doing the 9 to 5, you're lazy.
You're not really working.
Yeah.
So, all right. So she's not supporting the entrepreneurial
not
flair,
at all.
the spark that's lighting up.
Yeah,
right?
No, not at all.
So let's back it up a little bit, though, because we haven't even gotten into like the heart, the meat of the vegan meat of the whole matter here, which is so you're I presume you're like working out all the time and you're fit and all that kind of stuff, and at some point you decide you're going to go vegetarian.
Yeah,
is that what happened?
So I when I first got to grad school in 2004. My body went through a cultural shock. So coming from St. Louis, there's not a lot of different foods to eat. Fast food and fast food. That's pretty much it. So
you're eating, like, what's a typical day in the life of you know, what you were eating when you were growing up?
Oh man. It would be something chicken and fried, because my mom had this Sam's wholesale card, and our deep freezer was full of like different types of chicken, different types of fries, cereals, like, all the sugary cereals that are out there. And that was it, man. Just eating a lot of processed, fatty, fried foods that were just adding up,
Right.
And so when I moved to Fort Lauderdale, the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area to go to school, I was in this culture shock. I had Caribbean food. I had Jamaican food, Dominican food, Cuban food. I had Haitian food. And I was trying it all. And I wasn't vegan yet, so I'm eating all of it. And my stomach was just like, okay, time out. Like, we can't handle this. So I remember going to the doctor at the school, and I was like, man, just like, I'm having complications.
What were the complications specifically?
It was just IBS, like pretty much, like just being real. It was like
Right.
IBS, like. So he was like, "Do you eat a lot of meat?" I'm like, "No, not at all." We automatically say, "No, of course not." He was like, "Try to eat meat for a couple of days, like about 30 days, just see how it feels." And I was like, "Yeah, right." I was like, "You see how big I am, man? Like, no, I need my meat, blah blah blah." And I had so I kind of ignored that information. That was about October 15th, I want to say, 2004, when he told me to do it. I was like, yeah, sure.
I like how you know the day.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I know the day because of what I'm about to say next. So October 31st, 2004, I had a good friend who had sickle cell, and he passed away back in St. Louis. So on Halloween Day, 2015, he passed away. 2004, he passed away. And right then and there, I was like, damn it. I was like, as an ode to him, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try it. And how heavy were you at that time? I wasn't real heavy at the time. I was in college. I was in grad school. I was real active. I was still in the gym. I was still playing ball every day. Like, I just, I wasn't playing for a team or anything, but that was like one of my main forms of cardio, was always playing ball. No matter what, I would go play ball. Like, that was my thing. Right. And I remember that happening when he passed away, and I went to do it for 30 days. And within 15 days, I felt like $1 million. And I was actually upset.
30 days, no meat.
No meat. I was still doing vegetarian, at the time.
So you're having dairy and stuff.
Yeah, I was having dairy and stuff, but
you hadn't, you probably hadn't gone a single day in your life without eating.
No, never did.
Right, yeah.
I didn't think that was possible. Just like a lot of people in America think.
Prior to that, were there any vegetables on your plate?
If they were like cooked in butter or something.
Right.
Like, coming from that down south kind of mentality, everything is like, we think it's made with love, but we put all this other stuff on it, and that's what made it. If it was spinach, it was like spinach with butter on it, and all this other stuff. It was greens, it had like a piece of ham cooked in the middle of it, and all kinds of things like that. So yeah, that's
30 days, no meat. But here's the thing: before we even get into like what happened when you did this experiment for 30 days. What led your doctor to make that suggestion? Because it's not normal. The kind of suggestion that most
everybody
doctors
says like
would
it's
make.
not normal. Yeah, and the thing is, I don't remember the doctor's name. I don't remember. Like, I just went in. Like, I
just the doctor at the school.
Just
like the
doctor at the school, right? Yeah, like it was just.
You got to track that person down.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I got to track him down. So, that's how I actually started the whole vegetarian thing, and to even transition to vegan. Like, I think I told you, like, my mother actually. Was diagnosed with colon cancer. And I remember talking to doctors and checking when they were like, how did this happen? And like too much animal protein, things of that nature. And this is 2 years later. Because that was like 2004 when I did the vegetarian thing. So it's 2006. She was diagnosed with the colon cancer. And doing my own research too, I didn't just jump gung-ho into it. I found out that like animal protein is just related to all these diseases. And I'm like, wait a minute. So if we can prevent it, then why the hell am I going to put this in my body? So I always say I'm a big believer in learning from my mistakes, but I'm a bigger believer in learning from other people's mistakes. So like if somebody does it and it's not working, I'm like, all right, you know what? It's time to change it up. So,
but you do this self-experiment, and how long was it before you felt like so much better?
15 days.
15 days, no meat.
Yeah.
It's a light bulb moment for you.
Light bulb. Like,
and you're like, that's it, I'm done with meat?
Like, I'm done with meat. Yeah.
What are your buddies telling you?
They think I'm nuts. Of course. These other big guys are like, dude, you're nuts. Like, you're going to die. Like, you can't go without meat, man. Like, we put on this earth to eat meat. You know what I'm saying? Like, the classic myth that we see online and on the internet and on Instagram and Twitter all the time, I got it all back in 2004. Like, there's no way you're going to stick to it. Like,
right. So 30 days in, you're feeling 15 days in, but I assume you do it, then you're just all in.
Yeah, I was just all in at that point.
And having that kind of epiphany, like myself, I'm sure your whole life, it's like milk does the body good, beef's what's for dinner, pork's the
I used to drink it right out of the
all that kind of stuff, right?
half gallon.
And suddenly you're like, why do I feel better not eating these things? I've been told my whole life, like I need to have it every meal, right? And then you start to,
you're almost
at least
upset
in my
about
case, you're like, wait, have I been lied to? Or maybe I'm an outlier, like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But it starts to make you question other things because you're like, oh, this is conventional wisdom, but if this isn't true, like what else isn't true?
Exactly.
So you have this experience of feeling better. I mean, then did you start, checking out some books, or what did you start researching a little bit?
Yeah, I did. I was researching a little bit, just checking online, things of that nature. I started to really, really like just look at it, and it just like the CDC actually was a big factor for me. It wasn't as much as books until the whole vegan thing. That's when the books came into play, like the China study, of course, things of that nature. But before that, I was looking at like the CDC and websites like that,
like disease incidence and the relationship between animal protein and disease.
Exactly.
Right.
Like so that was a big thing for me. I was like, wow, like let's see what happens. Like, well, you know what? This 15 days was amazing. Let's see what happens. And
were the first couple days rough? Like, did you have cravings? Like, how did you? Because like if someone's listening to this and they're like, maybe I can try that.
Yeah.
Walk me through. How
I think the cravings were less of a worry than just the annoying ass people that just kept telling me that I have to eat meat or I'm gonna die. But
when you on day one, were you telling your friends like, "Hey, I'm doing this," or did you just keep that to yourself?
Yeah, I just kind of kept it to myself.
But then when you felt better, then did you kind of come out of the closet on that?
Yeah. Like I think they just started to notice. Like when we would go out, I'm like, "Oh man, just give me the salad and the fries." Like I was still. I'm real about it. I didn't just go like straight into like, oh, I'm just eating berries and fruit. I still like, I try to be social with it at the same time. Right. So, but I would just not really worry about, and it was vegetarian. So there might be some cheese on the, salad or something like that, or whatever the case may be. But I just stopped eating the meat. And then around that time, like, there wasn't as much variety as there is now, but we had like Boca, there were some things out there that just kind of helped me out. They had a chicken patty sandwich that made me feel like I was still eating chicken patties, so that helped out a lot.
And so you do this thing. So what tips it over? First of all, like, do you lose a bunch of weight? Like, are you able to like work out just as hard?
Yeah, I actually maintained.
Play ball just as well, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Actually, I maintained pretty well.
Weight. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't lose any weight.
Most people want to lose weight. You want to keep the weight. You were trying to keep, you want to make sure you keep it on.
It wasn't even a focus for me on that point. I think if the focus would have been to lose weight, then I probably would have.
But the bowel issue cleared up.
Oh, that was number one for me. That was like
and the alternative with IBS is what, like steroids and like all kinds of weird. I think so.
Yeah. And that, like I said, that was number one for me, was to clear it up. But I think it was number one for my roommate too, because he had to live through it.
Right.
So he was like, "Yo, clear this up, man. Like this is not good." So, yeah, that cleared up, and that once I saw that, I was like, all right, well, I can function without this meat in my system. And then,
when your mom gets sick,
when the mom gets sick, that's when the flash bulb went off. As far as like, wait a minute, so milk, dairy, eggs, cheese, all this stuff has the same DNA makeup as the meat. So if I'm thinking I'm cutting out the meat itself, I'm still ingesting it through the milk and all this dairy. So that's when I was like, all right, right now. And I'm one of those people, like, I don't need a month to prepare for something. I don't need to go, you know what, in 2017, I'm changing everything off. When I say I'm going to do it, I just do it. So that day I was like, done.
That was it?
Yeah. And
most people aren't I'm like that too.
Yeah.
Most people aren't. So when people come up to you and say, how do I start, or what's a suggestion?
I'm like, just do it.
So you're like forget about like easing your way into it. Just go for it.
Because this is what I tell them, like, okay, so if you know that something's going to help you change your life and you're going to live better, why do you put off making your life better? Like, that makes no sense. Like, it's like, it makes no sense at all. It's like, okay, you know what? Like, the doctor literally told me if I cut all this out, I'm going to increase my chances of living, but I'm going to start next year.
Right. So or maybe I'll just do 10% of what
I'll do 10% of it. Or people are always like, well, or I'm going to do it, but I'm still going to eat some of this with it. I was like, okay. So that's like saying I'm going to have an oil change in my car, but I'm going to pour some of the old oil back in. Mm-hmm. It makes no sense.
Right.
You got to, if you're going to change it, you got to change it.
But it's hard for people to change their habits.
But it's hard mentally. I mean? That's the thing.
Yeah. It's not a physical thing at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. And that's why I tell people, like, you got to put yourself in that right mind state. Like, and that's why I'm all about positivity. Like, look, you control your destiny. That was like one of my first tattoos I ever got was I control my own destiny. You do. Like, you really do. And there may be some situations where there's some outlying factors, but when you're in that situation with the outlying factors, you put yourself in the situation to even allow those outlying factors to affect you. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a situation where people are like, well, my husband doesn't want to eat it and my kids don't want to eat it, I'm like, they're not force feeding you though. Whatever it is, they're not force feeding you.
Take personal responsibility.
Yeah. And I've always been a big like person about that. I've always like tried to promote that as much as possible.
Right. People want it. The irony though is that even if you solve all those questions for people, like, okay, what if I can deliver this to you on a budget? And what if I can make it super convenient? And what if I can make sure your husband or your wife or your kids aren't going to be a problem? There'll be some other reason. Yeah. So it's not really that reason, because if you're really committed and you prioritize it, you can make it work. There's a fear of success. There's a fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And there is a fear of challenging these conventional ideas about how we're supposed to live. Because I don't know about you, but like when I started, I had the same experience. Like I felt so much better.
Like, wait.
But everybody's like, you're harming yourself. This isn't healthy. And, where are you getting your protein? I was like, I don't know. But, but when they ask you so many times, then you start to question yourself. Like maybe this isn't healthy, even though like the evidence, my experience is so positive, you start to question yourself. So it's challenging to be able to kind of have the gumption or the backbone to be able to stand tall and like say, no, this is what I'm doing.
And I always find it interesting when people say, well, I was vegan for like 5 years and it was the best I ever felt. I'm like, well, why'd you go back? They're like, man, I don't even know. Like, you're like, wait a minute. So, and I'm sure it had to do with something. There was some peer pressure somewhere. It might have been work. It might have been home.
It's the socialization that makes it hard.
Yeah.
And I think also for me, I'm also in addiction recovery. So like having that hard line is like really important for me because you want that armor to be firm. Like I just don't. You don't want to cheat. You know what I mean? But like, if you do a little cheat or whatever, you don't tell anyone. Like then there's a little chink in the armor. It just makes it easier to do it the next time. And then the next time, and then before you know it, you're at Burger King every day. At least that's me. Like that's what would happen to me.
Yeah. They do have a veggie Whopper, by the way. If anybody
do they now? Is that nationwide?
They're nationwide.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew they were.
I was in Cumberland, Maryland, and found a veggie Whopper at Burger King.
Wow.
So that's big. That's pretty big. I got it without the bread because I think the bread still probably got the eggs and everything.
Yeah, well, so does the sauce and everything.
Yeah,
like, you just get the patty with like a pickle on it or something?
I just want the patty. I was like, give me the patty. I was like, I just need it for now. So.
And it's doesn't have egg in it or anything like that?
Yeah, it's like a vegan Whopper or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're stepping the game up. Yeah. They're trying.
You gotta you gotta change these systems.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah.
All right, but let's get back into like your like narrative arc here. So, so your mom getting sick kind of motivates you and inspires you to go vegan. So what did you experience like immediately, or was there any like did you feel different doing that, or
that was even another level actually. That was like another level of like being in tune with my body. I had the friend that I knew in Fort Lauderdale before I moved. His sister was vegan already, and she's always like, go vegan. Like she's always like, she didn't push it down my throat, but she would, if I asked, she would tell me, because I was always intrigued. Like, how do you do it? Like, man, that's crazy. Just like we get all the time, like, how'd you do it? That's crazy. So, she was like, when you do it, you'll understand your body more than ever in your life. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I'll never forget, I was at the basketball court, and I was just telling somebody this actually last week, and I went up to dunk the ball. And I literally felt the energy from my calf muscle to the time I got to the rim and dunked the ball. Like, it just literally shot up from the leg that I jumped from. But I'm on a court with all these other guys. I was like, I can't tell anybody.
They already think you're crazy.
Yeah, they already think I'm weird. You know what I'm saying? So I never forgot. I couldn't wait to get home and like tell her, like, yo, that was crazy. She was like, I told you.
Just being super connected to your body and how it works.
And people always ask, you know, like, well, how does it feel to be vegan? I say, you know what? I relate it to like losing your virginity. I can tell you how it feels all the time, but until you go through it yourself, then you'll never know. You know, that's what it is. Like, once you go through it, now you understand it. Now you see how it is, but you have to go through it.
I think part of that is a lack of awareness of how much we all eat to like modulate and regulate our emotions.
Yeah.
And there's so many foods out there. I mean, you could do this on vegan foods too.
Yeah, but mask it.
There are so many foods out there that, you know, we eat for comfort, or we eat to like, you know, when we're depressed or whatever, you know what I mean? And like, when you go vegan, and then you're just so much more conscious of like, okay, I'm putting this in my body, and you're eating to feel good and to fuel yourself optimally. You become aware of how much you do that. And when you've kind of removed those foods that make you feel numbed out, then you're just much more present and aware of like what your body is doing and telling you.
Yeah, I'm sure when you're running a marathon, you can feel like when your body's clicking on this nodule, and you know, like you can feel your body go through these stages when you're being physically active. Or
even just listen, if you throw, you know, 3, you know, double cheeseburgers down the gut, you just want to sit on the couch and like watch TV. You don't want to. You don't really feel any. You're not connected to your body.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
So, all right. So you're starting to feel that right away, and then your friends probably think you're super crazy.
They think I'm super nuts. And I ended up needing to get knee surgery again on the other knee, because I was compensating so much on the first knee surgery that I was putting pressure on the right knee. And I was sitting on the couch just eating, you know, whatever was I could get my hands on. And sounds so funny, but I saw the P90X commercial, and I was like, damn, I might want to try this. So I tried it, and a friend of mine was he knew the owners at P90X, and he's like, man, I really think you should send in your results. And I was like, nah, they're not that good. He's like, no, I think you are. Like, I'm always hard on myself. Like, when people are like, man, you're doing good, you look good, I'm like, yeah, man, but I got this like 5 pounds that I'm working on, and then this body fat level. So I sent them in, and they were like, please tell me you have more pics. And I was like, yeah, I got more. They're like, yeah, we would love to use you. So if you ever want to laugh, I'm in like all the commercials and ads.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
P90X. But the thing that really hit was when people found out I was vegan, they were like, wait a minute, so you got in shape while being vegan? I was like, yeah, I got fat while I was being vegan too. Like, you know, it's not, you can go either way. And I just didn't know it was going to be this big phenomenon when I went vegan.
P90X is part of Beachbody.
Beachbody,
right?
Correct, yeah.
So what's interesting about Beachbody is my buddy Darren O'Lean, who I've had on the podcast, he formulated Shakeology.
Shakeology, yeah.
And he like, this dude, I mean, he's like a Laird Hamilton body double.
Yeah.
Like, he's jacked. He's like handsome and super fit. And he travels to all the crazy corners of the world to find these exotic superfoods that are super nourishing. He's totally vegan, like totally plant-based. Shakeology is actually a really great product. It's fully vegan in the whole thing. So there is a plant-based, you know, vein.
Right.
That kind of, they don't like make a big pronouncement about that.
At the time, Tony Horton was vegan.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? So that was interesting to me too.
Yeah, he works out with Brendan like all the time. All the time.
Yeah. I don't think he's vegan anymore. Because we met up, Tony and I met up at, I want to say around 2011, 2012. And he was like, oh, I'm not vegan. That's when we just got to sit down and talk. And he was like, yeah, I remember you from the commercials and everything. I was like, oh, yeah. And he was like, yeah, I'm not vegan anymore. And I was like, hey, that's okay. I was like, no hard feelings. Like, you know, nice to meet you. Shoot. Like, you know.
But people say that and they're like, it's like sheepishly, like you can't be friends with them anymore.
No, you know what it is?
People say that to me. Like,
I think that's because they feel bad. They're like, yeah, like it's almost like, yeah, man, I was on the top of the mountain and I fell off, man. I'm sorry. Like, you know, like, you're like, no, we'll still be friends. Like, there's no problem with that. I'm not one of those people like, if you're not vegan, we can't be friends.
No.
Cause I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I don't think I can influence anybody if I'm not around them.
Right.
It makes no sense.
Well, and if the only people you're around see the world the way that you do and behave the way that you do, then you're not really impacting change.
Right.
And you're not growing yourself.
Yeah,
so you have to challenge yourself and also be in environments where you can potentially influence others.
Exactly. And that's why I choose to be so positive.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying nothing ever pisses me off. I just choose to be very, very positive.
Got to be the lighthouse.
Yeah, you got to be a lighthouse. That everybody wants to go to the lighthouse. They want to see, if they see the lighthouse in the middle of the dark, they want to go that way.
Right.
So I figured I'm usually the tallest person in the room anyway. Might as well be, a light.
These teeth. Your teeth are like the beam of light. That's
everybody's always like, "What do you do to whiten your teeth?" I'm like, "I don't."
You got super white teeth.
Yeah. And again, I look in the mirror and I'm like, "Man, those things are like kind of got like little yellow tint." It's so funny. I never see until a picture. In a picture, I can see how white they are. In the mirror, I never. But I notice also most mirrors in bathrooms and things that have like a yellow light.
Right.
So I'm always seeing my teeth as like yellow, but everybody's like, "No, man, your teeth
yellow." All right, so you do the P90X thing. That must have lit a spark. Like, hey, maybe I can do something with this.
Exactly.
You know,
that's why I formed Badass Vegan, because I was like, I can do something with this. With like my first YouTube video has like 700,000 views, and it was like the crappiest camera ever. But it was the content that people loved.
And the content of that video was what?
Just my transformation in P90X. Just keep.
So basically, you're vegan and you're trying to like snap out of this funk from your knee surgery. So you decide to do P90X. And so what happened? Like you just got really cut as a result.
I got really
of that?
cut, like just really cut, like because I just literally, I would say for a year straight, I didn't veer off once. I didn't miss one day. It was P90X was 90 days. So about 3 months, I would go 3 months straight, take a week off, go right back to it. 3 months straight, go right back to it. Like I just kept doing that for a year. And, just my results were like crazy. But even after my first 90 days, it was just this drastic change. And that, like I said, I wanted to start something. When I started Badass Vegan, I didn't even know what the company was going to be about. I was just like, let me see what I can do. And everybody laughed at the name, of course. I was like, Badass Vegan. They're like, that's the stupidest name you could ever name.
Yeah, but your mom always called you a badass.
Yeah, my mom always called me. She was like,
how
did you get that? I was like, Mom, you call me badass since I was like bored, like, you know what I'm saying? And then this one guy one time too, he commented on one of my videos. He was like, man, you're one badass vegan. And I was like, I kind of like that.
Right.
And I went and checked to see if the website was available. It was available.
So you got the name and you got the URL, but like, what's the company?
Yeah, Badass Vegan LLC. I actually incorporated it literally that Monday. So I bought the website that Saturday, incorporated the company that Monday. And the premise was literally just to have a safe haven for all vegans. Like, okay, not all vegans sit around barefoot, hug trees, and smell like patchouli. Now, don't get me wrong, on the right day, if I see the right tree, we got a moment, we probably go hug. Like, it happens. I'm all about being the hippie as well, but I think there's another side to it. We like to travel. We like to go out. We like to, go to concerts. Whatever it is, we just, on another level, there's no animal products involved. That's it. And that's why I wanted to have people to see that. I think the biggest compliment I get every time is people are like, wait, you're vegan? Like, I think that's a good thing. Like, they're still shocked. Like, wait, you're this tall black guy, dressed pretty good. I'm not going to say I'm a fashion.
Giant guns.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They're like, wait, you're vegan, And it's kind of cool because the crew I roll with, Doms Thompson and Torrey Washington, we're all pretty much like these big black guys. And everybody's like, wait, you all are vegan. And that's good,
Right.
So people are seeing that
work?
you can do it, and that's the great thing. So that was the premise behind it. But it was also a safe haven for people that want to be vegan. Like, I didn't shun anybody away. I wasn't like, hey, if you're not vegan, don't come to this website. I'm like, hey, if you're vegan, come to this website. Hopefully there's some information that can help you out.
But the idea, at least initially from the start, was Badass Vegan would be like a community and an information and resources
exactly
site.
Yeah, my whole idea was like to have like a Facebook for vegan, like that was the whole idea at first, but it just kind of took its own path, and it got viral in a good way online. And it just spread, and that's when like I teamed up with a couple of business partners, and we started, working with some things. And First thing I started doing was like the clothing. That started working out.
So right now you're wearing a T-shirt that says "No Way, Jose." Way, W-H-E-Y.
Yeah. So,
but you got all kinds of cool T-shirts.
Yeah. I keep those going. And I started, copyrighting those because people start stealing them. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Wait. I would see people like, even though the company was trademarked and everything, I would see like Badassvegan on the other company shirts. I'm like, wait a minute, it's like, and so I started doing that. Then I teamed up with this company and we worked on like a cookie together. And that went pretty good. And then now, one of the biggest things I'm doing now is the protein shake with
VeganSmart. VeganSmart. So that's like a supplement nutraceutical.
Right, like an all-in-one shake.
Vegan, right.
Yeah, and I helped formulate that, and so that's been a great. So I'm one of the business partners plus the face of that one. I guess they couldn't find another face, so we said let's just go with me.
Right.
So that's been going real well. We got that in Whole Foods, CVS, Vitamin Shop. So that's been going real well. I'm working on some apps right now. With another business partner, which we are doing, basically taking like very popular games and just veganizing them. So we have like a Candy Crush type game, but we use farm animals. And with the farm animals, when you line up the 3, they get to come out the barn and go play in the field. So it's not like, we're not like pushing it down people's throats. We're just giving them that subliminal message of like animals are friends, things of that nature. So working on that.
So you got into this for health reasons, obviously, you know, as did I. So when did the other stuff start becoming important to you? The ethical, considerations and the environmental.
Getting called a hypocrite enough times, you start to like, you're like, no, I'm not. I'm doing this for the animals. You're like, yeah, but you got on leather shoes. You're like, yeah, no. They're like, so you think that was like a different cow? Like, what do you think? And it just started to play into my head. I'm like, wait a minute. So I'm not eating animals at this point, but now I'm still killing them to make my clothes and my sofa and my seats in my car and things of that nature. So that's when I really started to like take a step back and look more into like, hey, is there fashion out there that actually has vegan inspired clothing? So I was like, okay, let's look at it. And there wasn't much at the time. Mm-hmm. So that's when I kind of went into trying to create my own, which I'm still working on that too. But that was the biggest thing. I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to get rid of my whole wardrobe. So my process was, if I can find something to replace that belt, then I replace the belt and donate the belt. Mm-hmm. And if I can find something to replace those shoes, now I can get rid of the shoes and put them in. But I didn't get rid of my whole wardrobe at the time. I still had to go to work. I still had things I had to do. Yeah,
it's an interesting conundrum. Like, we went through a similar thing. Like, I remember, I'm 2 years into this and people are starting to kind of pay attention. Getting ready for Ultraman, doing these races, and like PETA came to our house to do a little story, and we had like a cowhide rug, like just stuff we'd had, for years or whatever. And I was like, and I actually asked Lisa Lange, I was like, what is the most ethical, like, sort of response? Like, what's the ethical thing to do here? Like, do we keep it because, and use it as best as we can for as long as we can? Do we donate it? Do we get rid of it? Like, I don't know what the right thing to do is. And she was cool. She was like, listen, it's different for everybody. Like, I can't tell you the answer to that. And I think your response is valid. You know what I mean? And I think also in terms of kind of getting a big picture on the impact our consumer decisions have on the planet, like being vegan with regard to your consumer purchases is important, but there's even more. It's like, how much plastic are you consuming?
Exactly.
How much, single-use items are you bringing into your life?
We're actually working on a new jar for the protein shake that's going to be like biodegradable.
Right.
Because we're like, man, like, we're helping as far as supplying a vegan alternative and a vegan staple for people, but it's in this plastic jar.
Right.
So
there's always like the road gets narrower. The road gets,
it's always another level.
And I think it's always important too, when you look at the community of, people that are interested in these issues, like, we're all living in glass houses, man. You can't throw stones, because it's like, you're okay. So you're 100% vegan, but like if I went into your house and like analyzed everything, it's like there's always something you're not doing that you could be doing better. And so it's aspirational. It's like, that's what Gene Bauer always says. It's like, we're just aspiring to be better every day. And we evolve into this. Like if you had told me, in 2007, like, oh, you got to get, you can't wear leather shoes or whatever. Like, I'd be like, what are you talking about? It's like, you have to be open to the message, and that requires you to kind of step into it and feel it out as you go. Right. Yeah. So you're a guy who, like, it's not like you were a bleeding heart for the animals. That came as a byproduct of like living this lifestyle. And I think there is, like, when you told that story about you feeling your Achilles and your calf muscle.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, on some level, that's like an awakening of Kundalini energy. Like there is a heightened awareness and an elevated consciousness that starts to take you in a new direction with your life. And then suddenly you're open to these ideas that before you'd be like, you're crazy, man.
No
like,
way.
I'm not doing that,
no way.
know?
No way. You're like, no, I would never do that. And now I'm like, yeah, that's me. Like growing up, the way I grew up and eating so many processed foods, until I moved to Florida, I had never had a mango. I had never had an avocado. I had never had a plantain. There was so many different things that I had, like the processed fake version. I would have a mango soda that had no mango in it whatsoever. So when I had a real mango, I'm like, damn, this is what a mango tastes like? I was like, wow, like I don't even want the fake stuff anymore. Like, there's so many things that you get awakened to as time goes on. I'm like, wow, like this is amazing.
Well, that it combats that idea that if you're going to go vegan, suddenly your diet's going to be super boring.
Oh,
but like when you look back at what you were eating before, you probably eating like the same four things. Yeah, like,
and you spent more money without even thinking about it. Because if you buy a meal plan, a meal at McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, you're literally looking at about $5, and then you don't just leave it at that. You add cheese, you add. Let's supersize it. You know what? Give me 2 of those anyway. And you're looking at about $10 every time you go in there. And you can buy.
That's subsidized. That should be like $40.
Exactly.
Probably.
And that's subsidized, right? But if you go, I tell everybody, you can buy rice and beans and it'll last you forever. But the thing is, we've been so conditioned and so spoiled that we think we can't eat the same thing every day. But I'm like, before we industrialize the world and deliver things here and there, wherever you grew up, that's what you ate every day. If you grew up under a mango tree, damn it, you ate mangoes every day. But we've been so spoiled now to think that, oh man, I can't eat the same thing every day. That's horrible. Like, no, you can eat the same thing every day. Just make sure it's balanced in that meal every day, and you can eat the same thing every day, and you're going to save money.
I'm a creature of habit. I could eat rice, black beans with like maybe a little avocado and hot sauce.
I actually do better.
I could eat that like every day.
I do better when I eat the same thing every day. Like my body reacts better if I eat the same thing every day that's clean and good to go. Same thing, and I might have a little something that's a treat for me. I'm not telling people to like not have anything they enjoy. But the funny thing is, you start to enjoy that food. The food, you enjoy the rice and beans and whatever you're putting in it. You enjoy that. Like, and so you look forward to that every day.
So were you doing like 80-10-10?
I did it for a while. Yeah, I did it for like a year and a half, man. And, I started eating cooked food, and it literally was just like, man, I want something to cook. It literally like there was nothing like I wasn't feeling weak. I think what happened was I was visiting somewhere cold. And I just wanted like this hot, like,
it'd be really
soup.
hard to be all raw in a cold place.
Yeah, I wanted like some hot soup, and that's actually when I put like the first recipe up, which was BadAss sweet potato soup. It was like sweet potato, dates, jalapeno, and I blend that all together, and then I chop up onions, and like then I would cook them all together with the onions kind of like caramelized in it. It's just amazing. Like I'm thinking about it now, like but I think that's what it was. There was no like diminishing my performance or anything like that. I just missed the taste of cooked food. That's all it was.
All right. So you're what, 210 right now?
I've been bulking. I'm actually up to 238.
238.
So, yeah, 238.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
238, 6'6".
Yeah.
Talk me through like the impact that adopting this diet, this lifestyle has had on your workouts, your fitness routine, just generally being like athletic and healthy.
I would say the biggest thing I noticed was that my recovery time, and I've heard that from a lot of vegans as well, but my recovery time is just nuts. Like, I can go through a workout and just literally just blast it that day. And right now I'm actually working on a new program. Like, I just released a free program like recently, which was good. It was pretty good. But now I'm working on the volume training. Like, I'm actually doing about 540 reps a workout now on one body part, just going all in. And while I may be sore the next day, I can go right into it. Like, I've noticed that like my acidity level's down, my alkaline level is up. So for people that don't know about that, check that out. You know, that's when your body is literally at a great level to where you're not acidic. My endurance is longer too. Like, I started doing the half marathons when I went vegan, and I was like shocked myself. I'm like, oh man, I'll never do that. And then I never went a whole marathon, but I did about 7 halves. And I got that runner's high. I really did get that runner's high. Like, now, could I have gotten it not being vegan? Probably. But I probably wouldn't have tried it, you know, if I wouldn't have been vegan.
But no diminishing returns in terms of like strength, what you can push.
No,
you know?
no. Like, it's crazy. Like, all those silly myths that are like associated to it, it's just they're nothing.
So when you go into the weight room or you're interacting with your buddies, you know, that aren't vegan or that you know would play ball with or whatever, like what is the core message that you want them to take away from who you are and what you're doing?
I think the biggest thing for me is that I want people to look at me and say, basically, if he can do it, I can do it. Like, if that guy over there, like I'm not trying to be a superstar. My thing is, I want it to be like, that guy, if he can do it, oh yeah, I can definitely do it. You know what I'm saying? I want them to be like, oh man, he's nobody special. I can do it too.
you look at John Sally or something. He's like, yeah, but he's a big celebrity.
Special.
You know, like,
that's my boy.
I know. Yeah, I know. But I mean, John is like, yeah, but he's John Sally. You know what I mean? Like, you're like very accessible.
Yeah, I answer all my emails. Right. I mean, it might take me a while, but I answer them all. You know, I just want to be that normal guy that shows that extraordinary can be done. That's it. I'm an ordinary guy that's showing you that extraordinary can be done. And you can do it too, but you just got to make those changes. Nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to come in and do the work for you. You have to do it, but it can be done. And that's my whole mission right there, is to just show to everybody, like, you know, you can be compassionate and you can still be strong. It's cool. Like, you don't miss anything by doing it.
And when you look at kind of what's going on with healthcare in America right now, you know, 1 out of every 3 Americans will die of a heart attack. 70% of Americans are obese or overweight. By 2030, you know, something like 30 to 50% of Americans are going to be diabetic or pre-diabetic. Like, it's just insane. And I would imagine that those statistics are even more heightened in a place like Ferguson. So the communities, you know, the community that you came from, this is much more of a flashpoint crisis than it is in, you know, Venice, California. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So do you feel like a responsibility to the African American community, or to speak out and address the socioeconomic divide that has created these urban food deserts that are contributing so massively to these chronic ailments that are
definitely,
you know, killing a lot of black people? You know what I mean? Like, killing everybody, but killing a disproportionate number of underprivileged people that
people hate to live in urban environments. People hate to admit it, but diet is killing black people faster than any gun is. Like, we're dying at a rapid rate because of what we're eating. Like yes, the gun violence is horrible. It's happening. But you talk about somebody's diet, they'll get more pissed about if you talk about their diet than if you talk about, you know, somebody getting shot, which is crazy. You know, and that's just something we have to look at. I mean, I look at it as, we have to control what we're eating. Like I say it all the times in all my speeches. I'm like, you can check, you know, there's so many myths that are associated with eating this vegan way of life that they'll have you scared and in fear. But if you check any hospital in the world, you can check the richest country in Dubai, you can check Haiti, the poorest country, you can check the ICU, the ER, you can check all the floors, you can check all the rooms, and you'll find one thing. It's not getting full of vegans. Like, people aren't coming to the hospital because they had too many plants that day. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what we have to realize, is that it's not about science all the time. Just step back and look at the actual picture. heart disease, heart failure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes. All this stuff is not coming with a plant-based diet. It's just not happening. And that's what I've been trying to emphatically put that out there for people to see, for the African American community to see as well. Look what we're doing to ourselves. Yeah, we got so many outside forces that are coming at us. So let's not help them out. Let's not help them out. Let's not have, 1 foot, a knee, everything in the grave already. Let's be the best we can be. And not only that, you start to realize, what we talked about earlier, your mind starts to clear up. You start to see things totally different. You don't look at everything with anger. Because it's hard to think of a master plan when you're pissed. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's hard as hell. If you're pissed about the situation, probably the plan that you came up with is probably misguided just a little bit.
It's reactive.
Because it's emotional.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's it's like business as well. I tell people, you'll never find a good businessman that's emotional. You'll never see it. Because once you get emotional, your tactics have been altered and you're going to do something that's out of character of a good business. It's just like life. If you're trying to make your life, stop being emotional about it. Be factual. Look at what needs to be done.
Right. So what about the person that comes up to you and says, I hear you, John, but all I got's a liquor store in my neighborhood. I don't have, forget about Whole Foods. I just can't even find produce, where I live. How do we, what do you say to that person, and how do we begin to, solve that problem?
I think the biggest thing for that is that we have to realize that, you might not have the, extravagant grocery store, but there's always a grocery store somewhere. The thing is, people will make a means to do something good. Don't support that liquor store. Lupe Fiasco had a great line in one of his raps. He said, if you don't support the liquor store, then what you buying liquor for? If you're mad that liquor store is in your neighborhood, just because you don't buy it in your neighborhood doesn't mean it doesn't go to the same bank account. You know what I'm saying? If you buy the liquor in Beverly Hills, it's still going to the same bank account as if you buy it in the middle of Compton. It's the same bank account. We have to look at the bigger picture. So don't support that liquor store. Support fresh food. You might have to travel a couple more miles. You might have to get on the bus. Whatever the case is, you might have to walk, but go there and get that food. Because what's going to happen is these companies spend billions of dollars on market and research. And then they see the people from these neighborhoods are going to buy good food. They're going to be like, well, let's keep them from going 18 miles to go get it. Let's give them one that's convenient, because we know we're going to get their money. Because if there's one 18 miles, let's say, I won't say a company name, but there's a grocery store 18 miles, there might be a competitor that's 16 miles. So guess what? They're going to keep competing to get closer and closer to you. So you're the one that they're going to go to.
Yeah, it's
you speak with your dollars.
Yeah, so to bring it back to the example that you used at the beginning, Burger King, has a vegan patty now or whatever. That's not because they thought it would be cool.
Yeah, they want money.
So there's consumer demand. They did their market research and realized this is a trend. People are into this, and if we want to maintain, market share, we have to be able to deliver what people want. So these corporations, you can perceive them as monoliths, but they're malleable depending upon what we decide to do with our dollars. And so that is a political act, and it's super important, and it's potent, and it's impactful, and it's meaningful. And that doesn't mean it's convenient. That's the thing. So it's
being successful is not convenient.
You have to make it a priority. That's it. You got to decide that this is important to you, and look around your community. Do you see a lot of obese people that are having trouble? I was in some airport in the middle of the country a couple of weeks ago. And it's everywhere I looked were people in their 30s in wheelchairs, motorized wheelchairs and those golf carts everywhere. I was like, dude, you're
people, and coming from where I come from, somebody will die at 35. I'm like, man, he had a nice life. No, he didn't. That's 35. That's not or they'll say a long life. You're like, that's not a long life. That's not long. We have to really sit back and look at it. And, I'm actually, this is I announced it yesterday, but so you're basically getting exclusive on this. So I sat and talked with Cowspiracy for 2 hours on Saturday.
With Kip and Keegan?
Yeah. Right. I was with Keegan. And so what we're going to do, we're actually about to make a new documentary basically talking about the impact that hip hop has on the community as a whole, and how many hip hop artists now that are from these areas that we talk about are now vegan.
Right. This is a huge thing that's going on right now.
It's huge.
So who are some of the guys?
We were like, okay, we're doing it.
No, but like just off the top of your head, like who are some of these hip hop artists?
Oh, Waka Flocka. You got Russell Simmons. You got Andre 3000 from Outkast. Stick from Dead Prez. You got Styles P from The Lox. Jadakiss from The Lox. You got Maya, who's a singer. You got all these amazing artists. And I'm sorry if I'm leaving somebody out.
I'm sure there's actually plenty more.
I actually have a list on my phone because I was like, all right, who do we reach out to now? Because as crazy as it is, Jermaine Dupri.
He's vegan?
Yeah, Jermaine Dupri's vegan. Yeah, these people want to reach out too. I've heard that Usher is. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder's vegan now.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder. Common's been known to be vegan as well. So Keywan and Murphy Lee, who are with the St. Lunatics with Nelly from St. Louis, they're vegan. Even Moby, we got Moby here. So we're gonna like primarily look at hip hop for sure, but we're definitely gonna talk, reach out to everybody else. Janae Aiko, those are just the names that I came up with, and I'm sure some people will hit me up now that I've said it, and they'll be like, "Oh, you got to talk to this person."
Yeah, you didn't.
And I'm sorry. I apologize. But
so did you go to Keegan, or did Keegan come to you?
He came to me, actually.
Oh, he did. So he wants to do that. That's pretty cool.
So basically, he wants to start off.
He likes to keep things on the DL, though. Man. Like, we better check with him.
No. He actually
told you could talk about it.
He told me to talk about it, and I was like, "You sure?" He was like, "No, put it out there."
Oh, good, man.
And that was amazing that he said that. That's how I know we're going to do it, because he was like, no, put it out there. And what they want to do is they want to start with my story coming from Ferguson, coming from this like place with violence and things of that nature, and relate our eating habits to our okayness with violence. Like, we're okay with murder. Like, think about it. We're so numb to it now. I was literally, when I was back home, I talked to a lady at my mom works at my elementary school that I went to now. So it was like surreal to go back to this elementary school that I went to 30 years ago. And this grandmother came in and she was explaining how her son had just got shot in the head, like literally like the week before. And she had no tears in her eyes at all. It was just so calm.
That's like,
you know what I'm saying? Like we're just so like used to it. It's insane. Like, I hate to say that, but anybody listening, imagine talking about your kid getting shot. Like, you'd be in tears. But she was just so like, and like, oh, well, his friend, and we know it's a setup, and it was emotional, and she was just so calm about it.
Right.
Like no emotion. Her voice never cracked once.
But drawing the parallel to diet. Meaning that when we see all these people who become ill from the food, we're checked out on it.
We're checked out on it. We don't even think about it.
We're so used to seeing people that are really overweight now all the time, all around us.
Yep. The thing is, we could talk about somebody else harming us and we'll get pissed. But if we talk about what we do to ourselves.
How dare you?
How dare you tell me about that? Like, I'll stand up for somebody else doing it to us. But if I'm not going to stand up for you telling me that I'm doing it to myself. I won't stand up for that. I won't hold myself accountable.
So how do you resolve that? Like, how do you go into those communities and begin to have a conversation about that in a way that's going to be impactful and hopefully, shift attitudes and behaviors around diet and nutrition, especially when you're dealing with, look, a lot of people on welfare, food stamps, it's like, they got bigger, worries than this that are more.
And
it's
that's
like
the problem.
Maybe they don't have bigger, like in the macro sense that they don't, because your health is everything.
Yeah.
But in the immediate, like sort of, I just got to get through the week.
Yeah, and we kind of got to play like Wizard of Oz on them. We got to pull the curtain back. We got to let them see that what has been painted as a big problem for you has nothing to in comparison as your health. I like to ask people all the time. I want you to write down a list of 10 things that's the most important to you. And half the time, health is never on there. It's never on there because we've checked out with health being our most important thing. Without health, you can't do anything else on that list. Anything that's on your list, You can't do it.
It's not that people don't think it's important. They take it for granted.
Yeah, take it for granted.
That's what it is.
I'm going to be here another 30 years. I'm going to be here another 40 years. Even though my heart hurts when I stand up from a chair, I'm going to be here another 30, 40 years.
Right.
And it's basically just taking that picture back and letting people see that most of the things that are normal are not right, because we have a bad association of the word normal being right. It's normal to be 30 and be overweight. It's normal to be 25 and that was my college years. I was in shape in college. I'm not in shape anymore. And I'm not saying anybody has to be a supermodel, but you have to be healthy. Because what are you teaching the next generation? What are you teaching your kid? If you went to school, if your child went to school and somebody cursed them out, you'd be pissed. But if you went to school and they have an overweight teacher that's teaching them something wrong, you don't say anything about that.
Right.
So it's health. We have to think about health. There's so many things that we can pull back that curtain. The thing is, people have to be ready for that curtain to be open.
Yeah, because you can't compel somebody to be ready. That's a internally driven thing, right?
And that's where I think the documentary will come in play, because so many people will listen to Waka Flocka.
Yeah.
So many people will listen to Jermaine Dupri. They will listen to Russell Simmons. They will listen to Andre 3000. They will listen to these people because they listen to them already. They listen to their lyrics every day. So now it's like, wait a minute. So he's KRS-One. Oh, I'm sorry.
He's the OG.
Yeah.
He's the
Sorry,
original.
everybody. Sorry, everybody. Somebody hasn't even heard this yet, and they were already typing that out.
I know.
Yeah, KRS-One.
Yeah, he came in hot and early before anyone on that.
Exactly. So to get those people that they idolize already to be like, look, man, all right, okay, forget the money, the flash, and all this. You can't even enjoy that money and that flash and all that stuff if you're bedridden. How are you going to enjoy that?
And what I love about this whole idea is that it upends the argument that all these other documentaries get, which is like,
it's a rich white.
Yes, this is like a 1%er problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all these food documentaries about, it's like that doesn't apply to my life. But here's a way to communicate with a completely different section of society, and perhaps for a fact the people that really need to hear that message the most.
And so it's gonna tap into everybody. And then the thing is too, like, hip hop influences everything. You could be at a basketball game, you're gonna hear hip hop in the background. It influences rock. It influences. It could be a funeral, and when you go home, everybody has some kind of hip hop playing. It influences everything. I don't care what generation you come from. It influences the urban market. It influences everything. So that's why we're tapping into that, to get these people to be able to tell everyone what's going on and why they changed. They came from the same place as you, and look, it wasn't a rich thing. It wasn't because they got money now that they did it. You know what I'm saying? And why they're so adamant about helping out other people with it. We're not trying to preach it to you. We just see people in pain, and we're like, look, we can get you out of this pain. I'm not trying to charge you for the pain. I'm not trying to charge you something. I'm not trying to I see you in pain. I'm trying to get you out of pain. You can't get mad at somebody that's doing that.
Right. Well, you have to come from a place of like, I'm here for self-empowerment. I want to empower you so that you can make better choices in your interest that allow you to live more fully.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what it's all about.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah. I can't wait to see that.
Wait.
I didn't know. Like, Keegan usually tells me what's up.
We literally had the meeting 2 days before we're recording this right now.
That's great. How, is he going to freaking finish What the Health or what's going on, man?
Yeah, that's actually
I know they're almost done.
He said February that should be releasing.
Okay.
So February that should be releasing. He's working on one more project, and then we're starting that one.
That's great.
So that I actually, and I'm just honored that he wanted to use my story to start it off. You know, like where I came from, what I've been through, things of that nature. Like, and being able to choose the path that I chose, because we all choose every day.
Well, what you're doing is really powerful, and I think that it's really important because you're not like kicking a hacky sack up in Topanga.
Yeah.
It's like you're cutting a very different picture of what a vegan is and can be. Yeah. You, Dom, David Carter, like these, powerful, strong, strapping, athletic, African-American dudes are really challenging these stereotypes.
And shout out to my boy Dave too. Dave's my boy too. In case somebody's like, well, he didn't mention Dave. No, Dave's my boy too. Yeah, Dave's my boy.
He's the man.
Yeah, Dave's my man.
You know?
Yeah,
and there's lots of other guys too. I know this is not.
This is not like we're not excluding anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like this is just at this conversation. That's who came up just now. But yeah, everybody knows I travel. And you said it the other day. You're like, where are you at now? Like I travel the world pretty much promoting this, and like I love meeting everybody. So I'm down with everybody. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, you're not part of my clique, my crew. I don't mess with you. No, I mess with everybody. Vegan or not. I mean, I hang with more vegans. That's true. But I hang with everybody. I'm all about, like bringing everybody in. Let's have a good time. And somebody's going to be influenced. And that tactic for me works a lot because I've had friends since I was a kid. And I've been vegan for 10 years now. And I got a friend now that's been vegan for 2 years. It took her 8 years of me being vegan. And she finally was like, literally, I can remember the text message she sent me. She saw me at a good friend of mine, his wedding. I was in his wedding. And she saw me. And she was visiting from DC to the wedding. Went back to DC. Texted me when she got back. She said, all right, I'm tired of this shit. She said, you are happy. You're always happy. Your skin's always glowing. You're always having fun. You're always the life of the party. Like you said, the lighthouse. She's like, I'm down. Let's do it. And she's been vegan 2 years since that text message.
That's great.
You know what I'm saying? It took her a while to get there, but for me, I never pressured her. I never pressure anybody into it. I feel like the more we enjoy it, the more we have fun in this party over here, people on the outside of the party are like, damn, I want to be a part of that party. But if you try to go preach to somebody, defense wall comes up immediately.
Well, above and beyond that, I mean, you bring up a really important point, which is sort of the vegan community online and what that looks like. And there's a lot of great things about that, but there's also some things that are problematic. Like if you just sort of stumble into the YouTube, the vegan YouTube ecosystem. It's not going to take you long before you're going to see videos of people gossiping about who's sleeping with who and pointing fingers about this guy should be doing it. And a lot of people taking other people's inventory about they're doing it wrong and this is the only right way to do it. And there's a lot of that back and forth. And I find like, I don't want to be part of that. I don't find that to be time for that? Productive. Yeah. And they're arguing with each other. But if like you're genuinely interested in learning about this lifestyle and you see that, potentially you're going to be turned off because you're just seeing a lot of like sort of petty behavior as opposed to helpful information and people that are like yourself, like, exuding the lifestyle in a really positive way that's encouraging and also welcoming.
Yeah, like I don't know if you know Mike Rashid. He's a YouTuber.
I think so. Fitness guy. Just as a caveat, like
he's not vegan.
A ton of like amazing vegan YouTubers out there. So I'm not casting aspersions on anybody in particular. It's just a general observation.
What you've seen. But Mike Rashid, big YouTuber, real good friend. Tori and I and Vegan Food Share, if you've seen him.
Yeah, I know him.
Al,
he's been here.
Yeah. So we went to work out with Mike Rashid one day, and when we gave him a Vegan Food Share shirt, and he wore it, he posted it, and you should have seen the negative comments he got from vegans. Like, how dare he wear this? I'm like, no, you're not seeing the big. The funny thing is, what they don't know is we talked for 3 hours about him going vegan. And seeing all the negative backlash he got for it, he was like, "What?" And he even commented. He usually doesn't take the time to comment. He was like, "All these people talking negative about me. Why would I want to be vegan? Why would I want to associate myself with this?" But they were like, "He doesn't deserve to wear a vegan food shirt. He didn't earn that." I'm like, so how long do you have to be vegan? You don't even know if he just went vegan last night, and he wants to wear it.
Yeah. You got to fan the flames of positive change. Yeah. You can't like throw, water on the spark. And there's a lot of that going on. And that's a big problem. Yeah. It's like, I sympathize with him. He's like, I was excited about this after going to the gym with you. And now like this is your community. Exactly. Like I'm not interested in that.
He said it. He was like, why would I want to associate with that? Like, yeah. So for all you that left that negative comment, I want that to sink in. And that was years ago. But I mean, and I'm sure that from what we just saw in that one, I'm sure that happens all over the place. And people like, they'll tag me when they're being negative on somebody else's page. I'm like, if you come to somebody else's page and you're negative about what they're doing, what does that say about you? That's like going to somebody else's house and judging their house. Now, if they come to your house or your page and they're saying something negative, then by all means defend yourself. But you're going out here talking bad to them, and then flaming up the fires, and now both of you are arguing and cursing. And the saying says, like, never take time to argue with a fool, because people from a distance can't tell who is who. If it's two people on the corner arguing, you don't know who's right or wrong.
Just take whatever impulse you have to leave a negative comment on somebody's social media channel and then use it in a productive way in your own life.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, check yourself.
Yeah. And make sure, because sometimes I will say this, and I've learned this as time went on, that everybody that actually says something that opposes you is not hating, and they're not saying the wrong thing. Sometimes it's actually an eye-opening thing, because I used to be that militant, go after everybody vegan, and I had a good friend. In fact, the same friend whose wedding we were at, he was like, hey, bro, man, I just got to tell you, like, that's not really helping anybody.
You got to tone it down.
Yeah, he was like, you got to tone it down, dude. And I was like, really? I was like, no, man, I'm trying to help everybody. He was like, yeah, but you're basically calling them stupid and then saying, hey, listen to me. He's like, all right, after you call me stupid, I don't want to hear anything you said at that point. And I was like, wow, I never thought about that. And then, so I just had to step back and come back to this like positive zone. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, this is how you can help yourself. And then I took that realm. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure those people may be helping somebody. That's just not my tactic. That's not my way. I'm sure they've changed some people, because I know one of those accounts that we didn't say, but I know one of those accounts that's pretty like out there and goes after people, and they've helped some people change, but that's just not my way. Like, I feel better sleeping at night if I feel like I'm being
there is a certain section of the population that responds favorably to that.
Yeah.
So
I just know me. If somebody talked to me like that, we got a bigger problem than just social media.
Yeah, I hear you. We got to wrap it up here. But there's one more thing I wanted to ask you about, which is, what's your response? Look, right now, it's very popular to adopt this like low carb, high fat, high protein diet. Like, are you in ketosis? Are you taking exogenous ketones? Like, are you, butter is back? Like, this is like sort of commandeered the headlines in the health sector. So I'm sure at the gym you have dudes coming up to you saying, what do you think about this way of eating? Like, so how do you confront that and talk about that?
I think the problem has happened because people are putting carbs in this bucket. They're putting them all in the same bucket, and all carbs are not the same. Like, we know that a carb from banana is not going to be the same as carb from bread. Like, that's what's happening. They're thinking of carbs is this processed junk that they're putting in the same bucket as natural foods. And now, so they're like, yo, cut out carbs completely. But if you eat a banana, or if you eat a sweet potato and you try to compare that to the same thing as pasta or bread or all these other processed carbs, cereal, things of that nature, your body's not going to react the same to that. And that's what's happening, is that, again, it's normal now to put all carbs in a bucket. They're all in the same. You're all on the same list. I don't care where you came from. I don't care how natural you are. You're a carb, and we don't do carbs.
Right. There's certain doctors out there that say there's no difference. In terms of how your body metabolizes these sugars, it doesn't matter if you're drinking a Coke or eating an orange or something like that.
That's like,
right?
I don't know if they ever played the commercial out here in California, but a couple of years ago there was a commercial that literally said your body can't tell the difference between good sugar and bad sugar. And they were talking about, like, I think it was actually a CNH commercial, CNH sugar. And I was like, what? Like, it's like, yeah, your body can't even tell the difference between good sugars and bad sugars. So they were promoting, like, sugar. And I was like, yeah, your body can actually tell the difference between good sugar and bad sugar. Like, if you're actually eating the sugar cane, your body can digest that better than if you're sitting there eating grains of, like, processed sugar. And I can't believe they came in with the commercial, because there's so many commercials out there that you, like, as soon as you see them, you're like, wow, they really did that.
So what do you say to these dudes in the gym?
My thing is that, when they talk to me about it, I'm like, look at your energy level. Your energy's going to be gone. Like, you think you might look okay, more appealing to yourself in the mirror, but you're probably like one more day from like getting rushed to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Like, just think about long term. We all need carbs. I don't care what kind of person you are, what kind of athlete you are. even if you're just sitting on the couch all day, we all need carbs. That's just a part of life. The thing is, where are you getting your carbs? And that's what we need to look at. Once you start seeing where you're getting your carbs, then you'll see, oh, well, I guess I can incorporate that in there. So this is what I tell them, like, start looking at more natural, unprocessed carbs. Look at that. And I'm like, you know, if you've been going this long without carbs, because sometimes they'll be, you know, you tried it for 30 days or something like that. I'm like, no, don't just dump a gang of carbs. Like, because now you're going to go exactly the opposite way. And you're probably going to have like an insulin problem at that point. But you want to like incorporate something that's natural. Because the more natural you eat across the board, people fail to realize the more you can eat, period. Like,
well, also the body sorts all this stuff out. Like, people are always asking me, what's your ratio of this to that to the other? And it's like, I just eat, I eat like real food. I eat plants all day long, and I let my body figure it out. It's never been an issue for me.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know my numbers. Like, you know, I hate to say that to people. They're like, first, like, how much can you bench? I'm like, dude, it's probably low, actually. I don't even know. I don't sit there and measure how much I can bench press. And then they're like, well, what's your macros? Like, how much is your protein, fats, and carbs? I'm like, man, I don't even know. Like, I could tell you what I eat for that day, but it might change tomorrow. Like, I'm like you, like, how does my body feel today? What do I got to taste for today? You know? And what I've come to realize is that we can almost eat anything we want, but you have to have that trigger as far as like, all right, I'm not going to eat the whole cake. I'm going to have a piece of that piece of cake. You know, like, I don't have to have the whole thing. And that's where we fail to realize, like, because I can honestly say, with traveling so much, people are always inviting me to the restaurants and they're giving me like a whole spread. And I'm like, all right, I don't want to be rude, but I'm not going to eat the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try it all, but I'm not going to sit here and eat 8 platters that they laid out for me, you know. Right. And that's where we have to, that's another thing that we have to look at when they're talking about all this carbs. It's like, yeah, you can have carbs. The thing is, sometimes like a box of rice, we're like, oh, okay, minute rice, we'll eat the box of rice. But if you look on the back of the box, it says that's 4 servings of rice. So yeah, that's going to be bad. But we think of it as, I can eat this whole box. You know, a serving, you don't need the whole box, just a serving. Things of that nature. So I just tell them to just be more mindful of the process. How much process are you eating? And how much natural are you eating? The more natural you go, the better your body will adjust and react to it. So that's what I tell them.
All right, man.
Yeah,
we gotta shut it down.
We gotta wrap it up.
I can talk to you for like 2 more hours.
Yeah, it's actually getting dark outside.
No, it's cool, man. That was really great. Yeah. You are a lighthouse of hope and positivity and inspiration. I love what you're doing.
Thanks, man.
You are a true example of living a healthy, happy, satisfying life, and you are also an amazing example of service, because like we were talking about earlier, I know how committed you are to getting this message out there. You're always on the road. You're always showing up at all these events.
Yeah.
And that ain't easy, man. It's got to be draining. You know what I mean? It's fun, but it's also like,
people think it's just fun. I'm like, man,
it is fun, but like, yeah,
6 on a plane is not fun. It's just tough, it's not for 5 hours at a time.
It's tough. And for people that are listening, you know, go to the episode page on my website, and I'm going to put all kinds of crazy pictures of John up there, and you can see how super cut and ripped, and you know, he's like saying, I don't know what I bench. Like, just if you see the picture of him, like, this guy knows what he's doing in the gym, and it's all working out in his favor. Yeah. He's also killing it on Instagram at BadAssVegan on Instagram, and the website is BadAssVegan.com.
Yep.
Twitter, you're Badass Vegan.
Yeah,
everywhere. Type in Badass Vegan into the Googles, and you'll.
Well, there's been a couple copycats coming up now, but yeah, you'll see me though. You'll see me.
There's guys trying to pretend they play themselves off like you.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, dude, it's so funny, man. It's so funny. But like, I don't talk bad about them. I'm like, all right, I guess it's supposed to be flattery. I guess you know. Things of that nature. Well,
between you and Dominic Thompson, you guys got that corner of the internet covered. I think, man, you guys are doing a great thing. It's a great service, and if there's ever anything I can do to help spread your message and be of service to your mission, I'm all about it, man.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. So the documentary is exciting. That's what's coming up. And are you done traveling now, or you got more travel? Is there anything you want to leave people with if they want to connect with you?
I got one more trip that I know in December for the Portland Green Festival. I'm speaking there, and I've been getting a lot of emails to speak more now. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm still promoting my brand, but I'm speaking as well. So it's like an in-between thing. So yeah, if anybody's looking for me to speak, you can still email me. Just give me some time to get back to you at john@badassvegan.com, because I've been getting a lot of emails. And I love it. I love that people like my message and my delivery.
Dude, you're going to get a lot more emails now.
Yeah, I know. But just understand that I am getting to you. I'm definitely getting to you.
And if people want to get one of your dope T-shirts or check out the garments that you're doing, is that all on BadassVegan.com?
Yep, everything's on BadassVegan.com. We're working on shoes now. We're working on everything. So I've been looking at the shoe game for the vegans. It's not too good.
There's an opportunity there, I think.
Yeah. And my biggest thing is too, like, you'll never see a shirt over $20 on my website. Like, I mean, yeah, I've built this brand. I've done a lot to do it. But I just feel I come from a place where people can barely afford a meal. Like a $30, $45 T-shirt, just I can't see myself doing that. So like, you'll never see a shirt over $20. Like, it may say $25 but don't sell for $20. Believe me, it was $20 to begin with. Like, there's just that's how the website.
It's on permanent sale.
Yeah, it's a permanent sale. Don't worry about it. Everything's $20. You know. So, but yeah, it's a lot of things that's coming this way. So yeah, the documentary is gonna be like the biggest and probably the most influential thing that I do in 2017 for sure.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Good talking to you.
Thank you, man.
Peace. Plants. All right, that's it. We did it. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Super cool. I love that guy. As always, please make a point of checking out the show notes on the episode page at richroll.com. Got lots of links and fun stuff to explore beyond the parameters of the audio format and learn more about John and his mission and a lot of the things that we talked about today. As always, thank you for sharing the show with your friends and with your coworkers and on social media. Take a moment, leave a review on iTunes if you haven't done so already, and click that subscribe button. And again, mad love for everybody who is using the Amazon banner ad for all of your holiday shopping. We love that. And just quickly, I want to make sure everybody knows that Plant Power Australia is coming up. It's February 20th through 27th. This is going to be our intense 7-day immersive retreat on the west coast of Australia at a place called Smith's Beach Resort. It's going to be incredible. I can't wait. This resort is beautiful. It's going to be an absolutely transformative experience for the 40 people that sign up for it. We still have plenty of spots open. So if you're interested, go to plantpowerworld.com, and you can learn more about that. Also, if you haven't signed up for my free weekly email, make a point of doing that. It's called Roll Call. Every Thursday, I send you a really short email with just a few tips, resources, documentaries I've enjoyed, whatever book I'm reading, an article I came across that I thought was interesting, just some, useful stuff. No spam. It's not complicated. It's totally free. I've been doing this for, 15 or 16 weeks. People seem to enjoy it. And so if that sounds like something you would like to grace your inbox on a weekly basis, you can sign up on my website. I'm never going to spam you or anything like that. Also, go to richroll.com for all your swag needs. We've got signed copies of Finding Ultra and the Plant Power Way. We've got cool t-shirts, tech tees, all kinds of cool stuff. Shout out to today's sponsors, Harry's, a superior shave at an affordable price. We partnered with Harry's to give you $5 off your order when you enter code ROLL at checkout. So go to harrys.com/roll right now to get a limited edition holiday shave set while supplies last. Free shipping ends on December 9th, so you guys got to act now. Also, MeUndies, the world's most comfortable underwear. Whether you want a subscription or a single pair, head to MeUndies.com/roll to get free shipping in the US and Canada and 20% off your first order. I want to thank everybody who helped put on today's show. Jason Camiolo for audio engineering and production, Sean Patterson for graphics, Chris Swan for additional production assistance and for help compiling the show notes, and theme music by Anna Lemma. Thanks for the love, you guys. I appreciate all of you. I hope that you guys are having a great holiday season. We're in the thick of it already. So stay calm, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in a couple days. Peace. Plants.